morning class, welcome back to your online class. So today we will be starting chapter 14, that is the respiratory system. Introduction on respiration we have already done in your chapter named Respiration in Plants. Okay, so you refer to that video which was previously posted for the introductory class. In this chapter I will directly begin from human respiratory system. Okay, even though let me give you a just idea about what is respiration. We all know what is respiration. It's a process in which glucose is broken down. So your glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen to give carbon dioxide, water, and the main product is your energy. Okay, so process in which the glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen to give energy is referred to as respiration. Okay, now you have two types of respiration, aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic is the one that we have discussed right now, that is in the presence of oxygen. And another one is anaerobic. Anaerobic means this respiration takes place in the scarcity of oxygen. Okay, so your end product of anaerobic respiration differs in plants and animals. In case of plants, in case of anaerobic respiration, glucose is broken down to give ethyl alcohol, carbon dioxide and energy. Okay, this takes place in case of plants. In plants, it happens in plants. Ethyl alcohol is also given as a byproduct. Okay, but in case of animals, glucose is broken down to produce lactic acid plus carbon dioxide plus energy. So your end product differs, okay, in plants and animals. In case of animals, lactic acid is the end product, and in case of plants it's ethyl alcohol. Okay, if I give you the example of if we exercise a lot, then we get a cramp in our leg muscles. Okay, that's because of the insufficient supply of the oxygen while we are exercising. Our cells undergo anaerobic respiration, thus producing a lactic acid leading to the cramp. Okay, so this was a general idea about respiration which we have discussed earlier too. So we will start from human respiratory system, different organs of human respiratory system. So today I will give you an idea about, or we will know just about the parts of the human respiratory system. Okay, the mechanism of respiration we will be discussing in our next class. So your human respiratory system, the parts starts from nose. Okay, the nose has two nostrils which is separated by a cartilaginous septum. Okay, so you know the tip of your nose is made up of cartilage. So two nostrils are separated by cartilaginous septum. Okay, now your two nostrils, inside the nostril leads into the nasal cavity. Okay, now inside the nostrils you have hair-like structure, minute hair, and in nasal chamber you have a mucus secretion. The role of this hair and this mucus is to trap any dust particles or germs trying to enter the air passage. Okay, now from nose you come into the pharynx. Now what is pharynx? Now pharynx, it's a common chamber for both air pipe and food pipe. Now air pipe is referred to as trachea and your food pipe is referred to as esophagus. Okay, Now just above the trachea you have larynx. Now what is the role of the larynx? Larynx, it's a muscular flap-like structure only which is present above the trachea. So when the air passes through the larynx, this larynx vibrates and thus producing the sound. That's why your larynx is also referred to as voice box. Okay. Now after larynx then you have trachea, which is also referred to as windpipe. Okay. Now your trachea, whenever we are eating food or taking food, okay, since your trachea and pharynx are within a same chamber, so while we are taking a food, your trachea is covered with a flap-like structure named as epiglottis. Okay, epiglottis is a flap-like structure which covers the trachea. That's why it is suggested not to talk while eating. Okay, because if you talk while eating, their air also rushes in and that leads to opening of the epiglottis, and food, instead of going into the food pipe, might enter trachea, triggering coughing, and which, if it is vigorous coughing, it might even lead to death because of choking. Understood? Okay. Now you have just now one feature about trachea is trachea, since it is made up of cartilaginous ring, so it is always in a distended state. It never collapses. Okay. Now just imagine this to be a trachea. Now trachea, before entering the lungs, okay, it branches out into two tubes before entering the lungs. Now these tubes are referred to as bronchi. Now after entering the lungs, bronchi further branches out, forming primary, secondary and tertiary branches. Now this tertiary branches also further branches out into fine tube-like structure. Now this tube-like structure is referred to as bronchioles. And bronchioles now further goes and meets sac-like structure referred to as air sacs or alveoli. Now it's in alveoli that the exchange of gases takes place. Now what are the characteristic feature of alveoli which enables it to let diffusion occur? Okay, so your alveoli, they are made up of single epithelial cell. Okay, now because the structure is such that they are made up of single epithelial cell, so the gap in between the cell allows the diffusion to occur, and inside the alveoli there is a fluid, a mucus like substance which helps in absorbing the oxygen which is getting in through the air. Okay, and your alveoli, let us say these alveoli, this to be your alveoli. Now these alveoli are surrounded with the blood capillaries, and we know that the function of the blood capillaries is to allow the diffusion to occur, because in a similar manner like alveoli, your air sacs are also made up of your capillaries are also made up of single epithelial cells. So your capillaries allows diffusion and of gases as well as nutrients. Okay. So and next coming to the lungs, which is the main organ of respiration. As you can see that your bronchi, alveoli, bronchioles, all of them are housed inside the lungs. Okay. Now your left side of the, as we know that we have two chambers, right? So your left chamber of a lung is slightly smaller than that of a right side. That is because to accommodate the heart in between the two lungs. Okay, so that's all about the different parts of human respiratory system. In our next class, we will be dealing in detail about how the respiration occurs. Okay, so your respiration, for today let me tell you, your respiration has two phases: external respiration and cellular respiration. When we say external respiration, it refers to breathing, that is taking in of the air and giving out of the air, taking in of the air which is rich in oxygen and giving out the air which is rich in carbon dioxide. Okay, and cellular respiration means breaking down of the glucose by absorption of the oxygen in order to produce the energy. That's referred to as cellular respiration. So in our next class, we will be dealing in detail about the mechanism of respiration, what happens to the different structural parts of a respiratory system while we are taking in the air and when we are giving out the air rich in carbon dioxide. Okay, so we will be dealing about that in our next class. Next, I'll follow, for better understanding, I will follow it up with the link of an animated video. You go through that particular video too for better understanding of this particular chapter. That video will give you a 3D view of the different respiratory parts. Okay, thank you.